My Fair Lady is a 1956 musical written by famous Broadway writing duo Lerner and Loewe, and later became a hit feature film starring Audrey Hepburn in the role of Eliza with Rex Harrison as Henry Higgins.
When people typically talk about My Fair Lady, they describe it as a show about a young woman who sells flowers, but she has a really brash accent, and so she goes to Professor Higgins to learn how to speak English properly. But really, I think it's more about a young woman's journey and realizing that there is more to life than what she's been born into, and that she's worthy of that.
It was very important to me to honor the legacy of My Fair Lady and pay tribute to the parts of it that work really well and still hold up after all this time, while also looking at it through the lens of a modern viewer and realizing that there are some things that don't hold up quite as well.
Coming from the golden age of musicals, when you tell it in a modern day, I think it's very important you adapt it to your audience. And I think that's something we did really well.
Eliza Doolittle, the main character of My Fair Lady, is played by two wonderful actresses, Audrey Randall and Marissa Lene Hampton.
Both of them bring something to this character that is so unique, and I get the privilege of interacting with both of them.
They are both so incredible and bring so much of themselves to the role. It's worth seeing the show twice just to see each of them perform the role, honestly. For the role of Henry Higgins, I specifically wanted to cast a younger actor than you might traditionally see in the role, and we were so fortunate to get Jake Hamilton as our Henry Higgins.
Jake is a phenomenal actor.
He plays the arrogance so well.
It's really easy to feed off of his rude, brash, cold Mr. Higgins.
He perfectly rides that line that makes you hate him, but also you still can't help but love watching him on stage. I have an absolutely phenomenal collection of actors for this production. It is a much smaller cast than you might expect from a show as large as My Fair Lady, so we have people playing multiple different characters. It's an all-hands-on-deck situation, and I'm so fortunate to have just a very talented and dedicated and hardworking cast. Alfred P. Doolittle is played by Gavin Clark. He was my first pick right away for this role because he has the smartest comedic timing of just about any actor I know, even at his young age. And so he is absolutely nailing the role and is making it so interesting to watch, as well as humorous. Darren Clark plays the character of Colonel Pickering, a bit of a deceptively difficult role in the show. And Darren has really impressed me during this process with how well he's been able to bring out some more of the depth in Pickering that you might not see in other productions. We are also very lucky to have Zach Ketchum, all the way here from New York.
When you watch him, you just have a smile on your face. You can't not love the guy while he's performing.
He is actually trained in opera, and so he brings this just beautiful voice and this beautiful sincerity to the role of Freddie that just makes him absolutely endearing, and you can't help but root for him every second that he's on stage. A lot of really famous songs come from this show. A lot of them you may recognize even if you don't know they come from My Fair Lady. On the Street Where You Live.
Knowing I'm on the street where you live.
Wouldn't It Be Loverly?
Wouldn't it be lovely?
I Could Have Danced All Night.
I could have danced, danced, danced.
One of the very first ideas I had for this production of My Fair Lady was to incorporate an element of ballet into it, and I was very fortunate to get Julia Huggins as my choreographer. She was able to bring all of my ideas to life in ways that I couldn't have imagined.
One that I particularly love to watch is Get Me to the Church.
For God's sakes, get me to the church on time.
It's so high energy. I want to go out there and dance with them.
It is so fun, and the way her choreography really reflects the characters. It's such a joy, and it truly is one of my favorite moments in the show.
This show is a classic for a reason. It's got so many elements that make it fun to watch, whether you were familiar with the story or whether you're coming in blind. It's something that I think is going to entertain, inform, inspire.
if you want a good time, come see My Fair Lady.